Hello, my name is Nicole, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, Bored with Life. Bored with Life. And some of you all, you have come across individuals who have said, I am bored. It's not that the person I'm with is a bad person. It's just I'm bored with him or her. I'm bored with work. It's not like it's a bad place and I hate everything that's going on and the people. It's just, it's boring. Some folks are just tired of certain social groups and they are just bored. Okay? I have a blog. It's dedicated to people who are easily bored. It's called thingstodobored.blogspot.com. We have a mix of bored youth as well as bored mature adults who are just looking to come up with some ideas to spruce up their life a bit. Some helpful reminders of what they used to do that they're no longer doing. So please do check out that blog when you have a moment. Let's talk about this bored life. Some of you all feel free to leave comments about the things that are just boring to you, and some of you others leave comments on how you came up out of boredom. Okay. This bored life, it becomes this way over time. It wasn't always like that, right? Some folks weren't always bored. They used to have a very vibrant life, but you see some things take place and we don't always pay close attention to the writing on the wall, right? That we're headed down that path of boredom. We don't pay attention to those seemingly harmless routines starting to take an effect. It was okay when we were packing up and we were moving and we were relocating and we had new jobs and we had a baby on the way and, there was people's birthday parties and we were invited to this event and that event, and now we're bored, right? Because nothing is really happening. Is it that nothing around you is really happening, or is it that you are just simply too tired, too lazy, not energetic anymore, got some health woes, that you're not trying to make your life entertaining any longer? You're not trying to work with someone who's trying to pull you up out of that box of dull and boredom, right? Some people, they don't want that. They don't want it. They say that they want a interesting life, a fun life. And then when somebody who comes into their life says, look, I've got this and I've got that, and let's go over here and let's do that. Oh, they're okay with it for a little while, and then they easily become bored with that even. Those issues that we have internally don't have anything to do with other folks. Some people like to blame, the ex-wife, the ex-husband, the ex-boyfriend, the ex-girlfriend. They were boring. The atmosphere was boring. The lifestyle was boring. There's a lot of boredom that takes place. But the truth of the matter is that if you are the one that's contributing to the dull lifestyle, you have no one to blame but yourself, right? Because your contribution was nada. Your contribution was nothing. In the background, you hear a child, and that child is quite excited and quite happy. And guess what? That child's not bored. Okay. Sometimes we got to go back to that lifestyle where things were quite fun and interesting. Sometimes we need to sit back and observe some children and look at how they keep themselves occupied. Sometimes we need to just take a look at our health and see what is causing us within to be sluggish and tired all the time and not wanting to do this and not want to do that. I will tell you, as you get older, you do become that boring individual if you don't pay close attention to your body. You don't pay close attention to the routines that you're setting yourself up with. If you don't pay close attention to your boring social circle that you are getting weary of, but yet you keep hanging around them anyway. Oh yes, you are going to eventually look at life and say, I'm bored. People are boring. The stuff I do is boring. The people who I talk to are boring, right? So some folks need a boring check, right? Your conversation might be boring to some folks. Why? Because you keep complaining about the same old, or maybe you're not talking about too much of anything. You're not stimulating your mind in terms of reading anything new to bring into a conversation to enlighten some folks. You've been on this planet maybe for 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 plus years, and you're pretty much doing the same old. So quite naturally, people are not going to be interested in what you have to say if you're not saying too much of anything, right? They're not to blame if you are the one who is sitting there twiddling your thumbs and taking the deep sigh and rolling your eyes because you don't like this or you don't like that. Well, you set yourself up. You are not contributing to an entertaining lifestyle. You are not making some quality memories with some people. Okay. You are not doing anything that's engaging. You are that audience member who likes to sit back and watch everybody, but you don't bother to clap your hands. You don't bother to whistle a bit. You don't bother to say, hey, good show. You just show up, right? Like I said, you may not be that person, but you know some people like this, and you say, gosh, I mean, really get a life. You know, I mean, I can't be all things to you. I can't be the one to keep picking up the phone and asking you to come on out and play. I can't be the one to keep inviting you to this event and that event, and you always got an excuse. I can't be the one to keep telling you about, this upcoming function and that one, and hoping and praying that you'll walk through the door. I can't keep being that one. And you don't have to be. God releases some people from a whole lot of things, and this might be bondage for some folks, believe it or not. It just might be because you feel bound to a person who is putting you in a position to entertain them. And you're not getting anything from that relationship, from that connection, from that partnership, from that friendship. You're getting nothing. You're the one that's moving and shaking. You're the one that's bringing the conversation. You're inviting them to events. You're coming up with cool ideas. You're trying to, pull them into some things, hopefully that they're interested in. They don't want to spend the money. They don't want to offer up the time. They don't want to contribute to the conversation. Well, guess what? We know what to do with people like this. Over time, come on now, we go to the Lord, we pray, and we ask the Lord over time, please, can you release me from this boring relationship, from this boring, connection, from this boring group, from this boring social circle. And the Lord will replace those individuals with some entertaining folks, some interesting people, some people who don't mind dressing up, looking good, smelling good, and going somewhere around the hood with you. You see? But if we're not taking that time out spiritually, we can be draining others. If we're not taking that time out to check boredom, we could be the ones that others are talking about how boring we are. I will tell you that I have for a long time been building my life up and continue to build my life up in such a way where I want to travel. So I do necessary research so that I can do that when time permits. I am one who I like staycations. I like to find out what's going on in the neighborhood and surrounding areas. So I do necessary research, and God is moving me to plan for some things in the future. I am one who likes to sit back and listen to conversation, but I also like to add to conversation, right? Some of you all are just like that. You want to do some things that enlighten you spiritually, mentally, and physically. You don't mind leaving a church for a while to visit some other churches for a season. You don't mind packing up, and going somewhere different. You don't mind saying bye-bye to a job and starting a new one. You don't mind connecting with new groups of people wherever you are. You don't tend to stick with the same folks. Some of you all, hey, I am not mad at you. But there are those around you who are, because they don't have it in them to break routine. I talked with an individual not that long ago who simply told me that I can't do what you do. I said, what do you mean? He says, all this moving and stuff that you have done over the years, and, you get yourself, hooked up with this, project, and, you're constantly changing things and doing something different, right? He said, no, I'm the kind of person, I like things to be the same. I like comfort. I like to stay in my little spot. That's good. I'm glad. I was a little bit envious of that. The fact that he could be able to do that. But I know that's not in my makeup. And I know that I can't sit nowhere too long before the grass is growing under my feet. And I have had a very enjoyable life. I've also had a very exciting life, and I've also had a strange life, a scary life, and a disappointing life. But hey, that's life, right? You're living when you're experiencing all sorts of things. And sometimes you don't have to go anywhere. It's just trouble tends to come your way, or excitement comes your way, or people want you to show up and show out a little bit, okay? You're living. And one thing about God is he doesn't take life away from you, but man and woman does. Oh, yes. If there's a man or woman in your camp who is a dull, boring person, okay, they can be very energy draining, and they can stifle you, and they can keep you in a box, and they can tell you about how they're not interested in this and that, and they don't want you to be interested in anything. And then when you take the blinders off your eyes, you realize that how much of my life am I going to keep adjusting for somebody else? How much of my life am I going to keep cutting off to help someone else out, or to make someone else feel good or comfortable? No, 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 no. No. You see? And so you draw that line in the sand. You draw that line in the sand with family. You draw that line in the sand with friends. You draw that line in the sand with partners and children and anybody else who's trying to keep you in a little box. You could work in an atmosphere and everybody says, listen, I don't want you to go. I don't want you to move out of this department, or I don't want you to get a new job, right? But you're bored and it's no longer exciting, and you have done all that you can possibly do in your position. It is okay to say, Lord, I want to do something different. God says, I'm glad. I'm glad, because I want to use you to do something different. I want to move. Okay, great. And the Lord will set it up for you. I want to meet new friends. Okay, well, I need for you to start coming up out of the house. I need you to start walking down the street. I need you to start, going different places and accepting some invites from some folks. Lord, I'm tired of this internet. I'm tired of, going from one website to the next. Okay, I'm glad, because I need for you to come away from the computer screen a bit and start sitting down and talking with some folks who could benefit from all that knowledge that you received from being on the internet for so long. You see, we have seasons where, yes, to the world, it's going to look boring, but we're in those seasons where we're researching, where we're, educated and teaching and building ourselves up and learning new things. I mean, it's all good. But then there comes a season where, okay, it's time to move away from those things and let's start applying what we have learned. Let's start doing what we always wanted to do. Some folks, they don't have much time on this planet, and they know it. And so they're going through their bucket list and they're taking care of all of the things that they wanted to take care of. Some of you all, you need a list. You need a list. You need to stop listening to everybody else tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing with your life. Come up with a list that will make you feel happy and make you feel alive and make you feel like you're going somewhere and doing something. Even if it's something as small as, I'm going to start, going from one store to the next, finding the best deal on this particular thing that I always wanted. You're getting out and about. And while you're getting out and about, you end up meeting new people. Or I always wanted to take a class in such and such, or I always wanted to go back to school. Well, there's some schools around your neighborhood, or, outside of it, close by. Start looking into what programs are being offered in those different schools. and get those dreams accomplished. Some of you others said, I want to go visit friends. I want to do this and that. I don't know if I have enough money. Well, you can always check and find out what the latest deals are, with airfare and hotel accommodations. Okay. And what are some of the attractions in that area? Okay. So that you're not spending hours in somebody's home. Okay. So there's ways to do some things to make your life more interesting. It's just, are you willing? And if you're not willing, and if all of this makes you feel tired and frustrated and bored just listening to all of it, then I suggest that you spend some time praying and asking the Lord to give you the strength, the motivation, the encouragement to do the things that you really want to do. So you'll stop complaining and stop bringing other people down, or you may be that one that you're not doing any of these things, but there's people around you that keep doing it and you're tired of it. So you can distance yourself from people like that. You see, and maybe they don't need to be in your social circle, or maybe they do need to stay in your social circle, but they're looking for you to model the kind of behavior that is going to inspire them to do more with their lives. Sometimes that's what people are waiting around for. They want to see what you're going to do. Is God really moving on your spirit? Is he really giving you some ideas? Is he really encouraging you? Is he really, just doing all these things that you claim? Well, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch and see what this person's really doing with his or her life. Okay? So I hope that you feel inspired. I hope you feel moved. I hope you feel, like you really want to do something different, to break this cycle of boredom. I don't care how old you are listening to this message. You can break routines. You can do something different. You don't have to drive the same way home from work. You don't have to walk the same route from school. You don't have to, connect with the same people all the time. You see, you don't have to celebrate the same holidays. You can create your own holidays. We can go on and on about ways to get up out of boring routines. So please do check out the blog to stimulate some thought when it comes to being bored. You can even save your relationship if you would just do some things differently, encourage your partner, come up with some places to go with the family and all that good stuff. Things to do bored.blogspot.com. Okay, there is no WW in front. It's just things to do bored.blogspot.com. Please do check the description box for anything related to your situation. And as always, to God be the glory.